The morning of August 3rd, 2015, I found myself in the darkest place I'd ever been. I felt hopeless. I was angry and frustrated, and I wanted to hide, but I desperately wanted a community to belong to. But I felt alone, trapped, and undone. My heart felt irreparably broken, like a train had run through my chest and left a gaping hole. I'd been struggling for a long time, really a lifetime, and everything had reached a climax, and I knew I was not okay. It was that whole lifetime of hurt boiling to the surface, and I could not bear it. Trust me when I tell you that I understand intense suffering. I really do. On that morning, tangible pain was running through my chest, and these thoughts were coming against me like, you wouldn't have to feel this pain anymore if you just ended things. Nobody would miss you. People don't really love you. But those were lies. Thankfully, something in my spirit knew that and was crying out for life. I was literally on the floor weeping that morning, and I cried out to God and said something that turned out to be incredibly profound, though at the time I didn't realize how profound it was. I said, God, I am willing to give up this thing that I think I want the most, that my heart is crying out for, because I believe you're asking something else of me. But I can't walk this out on my own. You have got to help me. Please help me. In that moment, a great shift occurred. I reached out to some people, some of which are here at AFC, and I shared honestly with them, and I asked them to pray for me, and to my surprise, they already had been. And over the next few days, I experienced a radical change in my mind and heart that can only be attributed to God. He truly rescued me from the pit. It was like I'd been blind, and now suddenly I could clearly see, like I'd been wearing the wrong glasses. And there's no explaining that but God. I realized I had been living a shadow life of what God really had for me. But in order to live in the light, I had to be willing to surrender my desires for His. See, we're born again in Christ when we choose Him, but then later we also have to be born of ourselves. I began to see how I'd acquired a lot of knowledge, but knowledge on its own is at best counterfeit truth, a mere shadow of the real thing. It requires knowledge plus wisdom to equal truth, and wisdom can only be given by God. But as long as I was stuck in this I want what I want thinking, I couldn't hear God's wisdom. I could only hear me. As I began to share in detail what God was doing in me, the craziest thing happened. My friends were listening, and they were laughing and crying, and they couldn't believe it because each thing I was telling them was a direct answer to prayer. It turns out they'd been praying for months, and some even years, very specifically for me, and God had answered them. It took me reaching the end of myself, but God moved in a powerful way. And I had tried very hard, but I couldn't save myself. There's nothing that can get the credit but God. The lesson here is this. never, never give up on people. Keep praying for them. Keep bringing them before the King of Kings. Show them relentless love. Even when you don't understand where they're at or what's going on, love them anyways. Pray and include them. And bring them into your community and your heart. Because when we show people love and grace, we show them Jesus.